Hi, this is Algebra with Jennifer. We're going to take a look at the equation for transformations in vertex form and what each of the pieces mean in relation to what they do to a graph. We call these transformations. I'm going to work this from left to right. I'm going to start with this negative sign out in front of the function. What this negative sign is saying is that the graph has been reflected across the x-axis. Okay, next up we have the letter A. The A is the number that's in front of the function. This number tells you if it's a vertical stretch or a vertical shrink, meaning it gets longer and skinnier or shorter and wider. If the absolute value of A is greater than 1, we have a vertical stretch. If the absolute value of A is between 0 and 1, meaning it's greater than 0 but less than 1, we have a vertical shrink. Okay, so moving across our function, we're going to now go inside of the grouping symbol. I'd like to take a moment to talk about the different grouping symbols you might see for the different parent functions. For instance, if you see parentheses squared, that's going to be your quadratic function. If you see the absolute value symbol, which is those two straight lines, that of course is absolute value. So this is your grouping symbol, just as these parentheses are my grouping symbol. You could also see the square root symbol. These are three parent function examples of the grouping symbol that you may see. Okay, so now we're going to go inside of those grouping symbols. I like to call this opposite world because everything is opposite than what you think it should be. So for instance, the B value. So taking a look at the B value, if it's greater than 1, or the absolute value of the B is greater than 1, like for instance 2, 3, 4, you're going to have a horizontal shrink. So remember, with the A value, that would have been a stretch, but inside the parentheses, that's a shrink. It's the opposite, and it's a horizontal, meaning your left to right. Vertical is your Y values, horizontal are your X values. If the absolute value of B is between 0 and 1, for instance, 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, that's going to be a horizontal stretch. We haven't talked about if there's a negative value here. If you see a negative in front of the B value, instead of it being a reflection across the x-axis, this is now a reflection across the y-axis. Okay, so moving along here, our H value. If we see that the H has a plus sign in front of it, so in other words, there's a plus right here, that's going to be a horizontal shift to the left. Remember, it's opposite world. It says plus, you think, oh, it's moving to the right, but no, it's moving to the left. If it has the negative sign or the minus sign here, that's going to be a horizontal shift to the right. It's going to be moving to the right. Okay, last up we have that K down on the end. Notice it's outside of the grouping symbol. Very important to make that notice. And now we have either a plus K or a minus K. So if you see a plus K, that's going to be up K. Whatever that number is, we're going to go up K units. If we have a minus K right here, that's going to be down K units. So there you have it. We have our parent function. This could be any function, again, quadratic, absolute values, square root, rational. We have all these different function families. This is going to be the same for each one of those that you take a look at in the future. I hope this was helpful.